it's Kay from KS Anonymous, and I am back today with another episode of r/entitled people. We can buy new. So, a few weeks ago, me and my partner were in a pawn shop, and we're standing waiting to buy something. Then we heard a Karen walk in with her husband following sulkily behind her. They looked at the tech and then moved further around the store, and this crazy woman stands next to us, looking at secondhand tools, and starts stating at the top of her lungs, "Look at this takey stuff. Who would buy all this? It's junk. It's awful. And it's dirty." Looking at me and the other customers in the store for us to agree, all of us rolled our eyes. I swear, it was like, oh wow, how entitled do you have to be to go into a pawn shop and complain that it's junk in front of both the customers also in the store and the staff? Yeah, that is a really weird move to make, especially considering it seems everyone else understands the concept of what a pawn shop is. Maybe she didn't? I don't know. Entitled fiance gets caught cheating. Good evening, everybody. I hope we are all doing well tonight and that we all have our favorite snack. Tonight, I bring you the tale of my now ex-fiance getting caught cheating. Well, I am no longer with him because he cheated on me. We will call this jerk Jeff. Some background real quick. I've been with Jeff for a while. Him and I have always been side by side. However, I started getting this odd feeling from him. I got a new job where I worked 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. shifts. I was home more. I was able to see him and be with him more. I was happier. However, Jeff changed instantly. He started hiding his phone from me. He wouldn't let me look at his phone while he was on it. Even if he wanted to show me something, he would send it instead of showing it to me. We were right by each other. Because of this, I changed my phone password because if I can't have his phone info, he can't have mine. It is a two-way street for me. When he went to look through my phone one day, he realized I changed the password. Jeff flipped out on me and yelled, cussed, slammed things around, accused me of cheating and being with some guy from my new job. I told him I changed my phone password because he changed his, and I don't feel comfortable with him being able to access my phone whenever he wanted. He got pretty mad at me and stormed off. From this moment on, he began to get obsessive and a little crazy with me. He began trying to control me. He didn't like it when I went out with friends. He didn't like it when I talked to my two guy best friends of 6 years. He never had a problem with this, I will add. But one night, one of them called me because he just got off a Navy tour and was away for 3 to 4 months. He always calls me, Alice, and our friend Joe to tell us he is okay. Jeff flipped out, demanded I never talk to him and all of my other friends again because they were out to get us. At this point, the idea of him cheating on me was an idea in my head. I was working on moving out because luckily for me, my big brother's roommate moved out and he offered for me to move in and take over his roommate's lease. As I was planning this, Jeff cheating on me was confirmed one night in bed. Jeff pulled up a picture of his coworker and said, "Look how hot she is." I yawned and said, "Cool," rolled over to go to sleep. This upset him. He got mad at me for rolling over and going to bed, so he woke me up and started to talk to me about the girl he showed me. "I'm trying to show you this girl and you just ignored me. It would be nice if you showed some interest. I just think she's really hot, and you could start to take better care of yourself to look like her. You should start doing squats and eating more salads." I have been struggling with multiple eating disorders since high school. I finally gained some needed weight, and that was his response. At this moment, it took everything in my power not to hit him. However, I had already cut the emotional attachment to him. In that very moment, he was just a roommate. Next night, though, he was out with his friends. I knew he was with the girl, though. My big brother came over and helped me start packing up my stuff to move into his place. A month went by. This continued to go on. Jeff would tell me to make myself prettier, lose weight, do squats, go get a boob job. I ended up having my headphones in all the time to ignore him. I would accidentally fall asleep on the couch at my brother's. I moved my cat to my brother's too, so I wasn't worried about that. One night, though, I got a message through Facebook from a girl I haven't spoken to in years. She knows of my relationship with Jeff. She sent me a picture of Jeff and Sarah, the girl he wanted me to look like, walking hand in hand in the city's downtown area. She said he was on a date with the girl, and she low-key followed them for a bit. They went to dinner, got ice cream, he took her shopping. Everything he didn't like to do with me, actually. I told the girl thank you, and that she's amazing. When Jeff got home from his date, he sat on the couch next to me, and I sent the picture to him. This is how it went. You followed me? No, one of my friends saw you. This is so out of line. That's odd. You need to apologize to me right now. I did nothing wrong. You literally followed me downtown and took pictures of me. Are you stalking me? I was dumbfounded. I just stared at him and realized this was the man I had fallen in love with. This was his true nature. This is how he will always be, and even if he didn't cheat, he would show himself as this eventually. I did not cry. I just sat there staring at him as he insulted me and called me a crazy bee and blamed me. Jeff then started yelling at me to say something. I sat up and said, "Here's your ring back. You can keep the apartment." I moved in with Kevin, my big brother. I handed him the ring. I handed him the key. I asked him one last thing. Was it worth it, Jeff? All these years down the drain? Jeff looked at me with a straight face and told me if I had stayed at the hotel job and didn't take the new job, he wouldn't have gotten caught, and I should have stayed at the hotel if I really loved him. I left a hotel job back in May and got a job as a lenses cutter at an optician's office. I nodded my head and walked out of the apartment and drove to my big brother's. I live with him now. It's been 5 months now since I left Jeff. I ended up casually dating a man I never thought I would date, and to say the least, he has treated me better in one date than Jeff ever did in 4 years. Jeff has seen us out at the bars. This has resulted in obsessive and frantic phone calls, but he has now been blocked. He won't dare do anything because my new boyfriend is 6'9" and drenched in tattoos. I am very happy now. That is the story of how Jeff and I ended. He turned into a crazy, entitled a-hole. Well, that was quite an interesting story, and I think what often happens, unfortunately, is that people will project what they're doing onto other people or how they feel or whatever else onto other people to protect themselves. So like what he was doing, saying that you're cheating on him and being all crazy about things, or trying to deflect and say like, oh, you were following me, you're a stalker, you're the one out of line. It's just really terrible behavior that is unfortunately rather common with people who are not great. And I'm really glad you started to see these things and were able to reach that day in the state that you are already in, where you were already prepared to leave, already prepared to be living at your brother's, where you could be, one, safe, because this guy kind of, I don't know, I get that you say he won't do anything now because you're with a guy who looks intimidating, but just the kind of nasty person he sounded like. I'm just glad you were safe, and I'm glad you had a place to go, and you already kind of had that detachment happening, because yeah, he's absolute garbage. And to be like, oh, you should have stayed at the hotel so you wouldn't catch me cheating? Are you freaking kidding me? I don't understand people, and I'm just really glad that it ended positively for you and that you gotten in a better situation and weren't like married to this person and didn't end up having this person as like your world and having everything tied up with them, and didn't know that this was really the kind of person that they really were until it was too late. Entitled aunt harassing my dad, hospital staff, and myself about mom. I'm not sure if this is the right subreddit to post this story in, but I think this situation has some entitlement to it. Also, there are multiple incidents created by this person and the likelihood of updates. Background. My mom and my aunt have a love-hate relationship. Essentially, my mom tolerates her while my aunt sees herself as the head of the family, as she is the oldest child, despite my grandmother still being alive. There is an ongoing situation in my immediate family. Not to share specifics, but my mother is in ICU and has been for over a month at this point. And no, it's not corona. Basically, she's in there due to a highly common but more aggressive illness caused by bacteria. Also, my mom does have a slightly weaker immune system compared to others, so my mother's condition was quite serious. Story EA entitled Aunt, my mother's older sister, GM grandmother. So my father and I had just woken up on the first morning of mom being in ICU. She had surgery the night before. Neither one of us had or was checking our phones when EA called my dad first. Since she got no answer, EA then called my phone to receive no answer. Since the ICU had 2 visiting times during midday and the other in the evening, Dad and I went up to visit Mom during the midday session. After about half an hour at Mom's bedside, she was in a medical-induced coma. EA called the ICU. The team doctor came around to us to say that EA was on the phone. The staff there were directed to not tell EA anything about Mom's condition and that all updates were to come through Dad. For context, my dad was posting updates on social media as he didn't have contact with all of my mom's friends and family. Later in the day, EA called GM about the incident. From what my GM said about the conversation, EA wanted to know all the current info on my mom and that she felt we, Dad and I, were hiding information from her. I understand EA is Mom's older sister and wanted to make sure that Mom was alright. However, due to the nature of their relationship, I believe it was completely inappropriate. As I am still in high school junior year, I found it as a hindrance to my learning and mental health when I was getting texts from her during class. Story 2. I had been at school again for about 1 week. It's been kind of a blur. I was in math class when one of the TAs, who was a close friend of Mom's, kept getting notifications on social media. After about 10 minutes, she picked up the phone, read the conversation, and looked at me with a worried look. To be fair, I was spacing out rather than doing my work, but I knew if Mom's condition would have gotten worse because Dad would have picked me up by then. As we were not allowed to use phones at all during the day, I checked the post in the bathroom. So EA had commented on Dad's update asking if Mom needed new kidneys. They're the last organ to return back to normal after an induced coma. EA and Dad had an argument about how inappropriate EA's comment was. Dad even used the, "Hey, OP can see this just so you know," stance to stop EA speculations being public. EA still hasn't apologized, and she's invited herself and husband over to GM's house for Christmas lunch. EA does have a son, but he's grown up now and never took her word for it. Since he and I are in contact and he's close with Mom, I've been sending accurate updates on Mom's condition to him. It is well known in the family that I'm highly protective of Mom. So far, I haven't said anything to EA since Mom has been in hospital, not wanting her to bait me into saying something about Mom's health that only Dad and I know. I'm really sorry to hear about what you've been going through with your mom. I really hope that she's feeling better and she's doing better now, and I'm really sorry to hear the way that your family has been, specifically your aunt. That's really not things that you should be dealing with. You're right. It's not really appropriate, and it's not okay for your mental health, your learning, whatever else, for your aunt to be acting like this and really kind of using you in a way to get information that she wants. It's not appropriate for her to be like putting really kind of negative speculations out there online for everyone to see as well. I'm sorry that you're going through this. That's all I really can say. That's just really messed up of her. And again, I really hope that your mom is doing better now and that you're doing all right. I'm glad that at least you have your dad and you guys both are kind of on the same team in this situation. It must be really frustrating to have families that have such weird controlling like attitudes and things and get you involved in stuff that you really shouldn't have to be dealing with. Karen expects Machine to work purely because she's a loyal customer. So for background, I used to work in a normal convenience store, which also had the facilities to allow customers to return parcels to companies like ASOS, Next, John Lewis, etc. They could also pick up their parcels from those companies from our store. In order to initiate the returns or allow customers to pick up their parcels, we need to scan a barcode through via a handheld scanner. This thing isn't always reliable, and thankfully we were due to get a new one. However, on this particular day, the scanner was having a hissy fit. And this is where Karen takes center stage. And when I say Karen, I mean in every sense of the word, right down to the haircut given only to the true Karens. She comes up with a parcel she wishes to return. I grab the scanner, go to log in and start the process, when the thing begins to malfunction. It gets stuck in a reset loop, so I cannot even get a chance to try powering it down completely to reboot it. I apologize to Karen and say it's not working properly, but I'll just give it a minute to see if it sorts itself out. No such luck. It just keeps going. At this point, I apologize to Karen and say, unfortunately, it looks like the scanner is down. We are due to get a replacement, but maybe you could try coming back in later in the day.
Well, that's not very good, is it?
I'm sorry, but at the moment, there's not much else I can do. I can't accept the parcel since it needs to be scanned into the system. Karen goes into ultimate attack mode.
I want to speak to your manager.
I call the on-shift manager, who comes down and tries everything I tried with the machine. Again, no luck. And this is when Karen drops the ultimate line.
This is ridiculous. I'm in here all the time. I should be able to return my parcel.
My manager explained to her that it was not working. We couldn't do anything. She had to come back and see if it was working again later in the day. Karen stormed out with her parcel, and I was just bemused. Yes, Karen, you being in here all the time means that the machines will work perfectly every single time. And even if they're not working, they should immediately fix themselves just because you're a loyal customer. I don't miss that job. Oh my. Well, to be fair, it is possible that she was saying that because she's such a loyal customer that she should be able to leave it with you until it worked again and you would scan it in or something. Maybe that's what she was saying. But then again, there are plenty of entitled people in this world who honestly do seem to think that things should magically begin to work or go their way purely because they exist. So it is also completely possible that she really did think that the scanner should just, start working for her because she's a loyal customer. Anyway, that is going to wrap it up for today's video. If you enjoyed it, you can go ahead and drop a like and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Really quickly, I would like to thank my patrons. Up on the screen, you should see my face palmers and my crazy case. Thank you so much for supporting me in that way. If you're interested in becoming a patron, checking out the original post from today's video, or sending me an email for possible inclusion in a future video, all of that information is in the description box, so be sure to check that out. And I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye!